Hello everyone, welcome back. It's the last video of the year, and the last video of the year is going to be an update, the last update of the year. It's been an interesting period this past 4 months. I would say not as crazy as the previous segment of 4 months, but intense in a positive way. There were certain changes, but I will go into that later. But other than that, it wasn't, I would say, as complicated as the previous, 4 months. I'm going to call this period foundation, and you'll understand a bit later why. I'm going to go directly into physical changes. I haven't done that in a while, and I think it's time. Also because I want to clarify a few things that I'm asked quite regularly, well, not as regularly, but from time to time I'm still asked things like, so are you still a breatharian? And after all this time, after all these years, it's kind of funny, but there are moments when I'm just like, really? Are you asking me this question after all this time? But I realize there are new people that are now discovering, things about the breatharian process, and they find my information on older videos, I assume, where I talk about that, or they just found one video but didn't find the first one where I actually talk about that and the intention and what was behind me wanting to do that, and what I said that I'm going to do after that. And honestly, at times it's frustrating and annoying to actually have to answer this, but lately it's more than just, it's not that, it feels disappointing because it feels like they still don't get it. And I know there are new people curious about this kind of, because they stumbled upon this thing in their life and, oh, it's interesting, or they heard it from somebody else, and it's, I don't know, either it's a genuine desire for change or something that, whatever, it's time to actually do this to see what's behind that, or it's a need to do something extreme, or I don't know, so people can look at you and say, look how cool you are, you do crazy stuff, which for me was not the case. I did this, I had a real an important reason, motivation behind it when I did that thing. And also I said that before doing that, I wanted to do this longer than that, so that would be more than 20 something years, 15, 17 years, I don't know anymore, before the actual one, when I actually did this. Another reason why I don't talk about this, why, I know there's, as I said, there are those of you, the community here, that, at least a very small nucleus of people that have discovered me, this information, what I'm doing here, what I'm about, since an earlier stage. And you have been with me for a longer period than you kind of understood or seen what I mean with this, and where I'm heading actually. And there's those that just stumble upon things, and they see a video, and then they see something from a much more present time, and they are disappointed, or feel that they're disappointed, and they leave. They think that they're not getting what they want, without understanding what's being shared here. And honestly, all this time I've tried to discourage people from thinking that what I do here on this channel or in this space, it's one of my personal spaces that I share information and my journey with those that are able to understand, or will open themselves up to understand what I'm actually offering them. What I'm doing here, it's much bigger than just, I've done the breatharian process and it's all about that. As I said, I'm trying to discourage that kind of thinking. And also I wanted to do this because at the moment where this thing kind of exploded, there was also a lot of hate toward people that were talking about that, and for me it was not about that. So I really wanted to move away from the noise and from the chaos that comes with that kind of, as I said, some people want to like capitalize on that type of information, but that's not me. I'm not interested in that. I have a much bigger journey to make, and that was a big important step, but that's not it, or that's not about it what I'm doing here. So to answer once more, if I am Breatharian, I have to tell you that like nothing has changed, although things evolve, because nothing stays the same. You have to understand, it's like you're saying, did you stop like the world stopped since then and nothing happened? No, a lot of changes have happened since, I don't know, 6 years and a half or something like that, since I did that. I've been through so many stages, but because of what has happened, even when I did that process, which was not something, it was a magical process for me, and certain things happened that I didn't discuss with you because it's still private, and it has to do with what I am, and at the moment it's not safe to talk about certain things, so I keep certain things quiet. And I know that what I did back then, it was just opening a door into something so much bigger than most people can even imagine. So this thing with the Breatharian process and like, oh, you're still eating or whatever, it was never about that, because for something to exist, it has to have a source of nourishment. Either that is from inside or on the outside. Something must be sustained by energy, by something. The process of, what I did back then and what I have done since then was a way for me to unplug from a certain box. What does this mean, from a certain box? From a certain mind and mindset and reality that said that that's it. That's nothing else besides this. See, this is how it works here. That you drink, you're doing whatever. If you don't do this, you die or whatever. So what I did back then was unplugging from a certain mind and mindset. And I was able to see beyond that box. And then increasingly that box has been destroyed. That's like there's many boxes. Not because I didn't know there was another reality or I didn't have other type of experiences before that, but it was a moment where certain conditioning started to break and invite freedom, invite more space. I said so many times that this is about creating space inside oneself, so you can access more awareness, more ideas, more power, so you can actually be who you are, who you're meant to be. And obviously we're moving into another reality that is based on other rules and function in a different way. And as long as one is trapped in a certain reality, or what has been until now, cannot see, cannot understand the other reality, will think that this other reality is something what the mind, that the old reality says or does, like, oh, this should be like this. If it's not like this, if it's not here, whatever, then it's impossible. And you cannot see this like that, either like this higher reality with the old mind. It's like put like a one-to-one, like compare it. This is this, and this should be like what has been. It's completely different. It's so different that it's like I don't know even when to begin. It's like there's no words to begin to describe that. So the process of changing myself has never stopped. Has been something alive and has followed whatever I needed to follow in order for things in me to dissolve, to break, to, as I said, create more space. And expand my awareness and constantly grow that space inside where it allows me for other things, well, other awareness, other things to express. And therefore, in time, also the thing with the eating and the drinking, whatever the drinking, isn't like how one absorbs nourishment in this reality has changed, has changed its texture, value, meaning. And where I am right now is what I would call, I am like dissolving the actual habit in itself, like the experience in itself. Because all these years, I never really put pressure on myself. Oh, after I've done the process, I'm going to stop eating, which I said from the first video that was not the motivation behind that, that was not the intention behind that, but I was willing to continue on a path of exploring and going beyond that, because I knew where my journey was taking me. And this journey is a long journey, as I like to remind you, and it's a journey of transformation, and it requires time, patience, and persistence. And I've undertaken that. To undertake something like that, you know that's not an easy journey. And I've never been somebody to be, I don't know, superficial, if you will. I always understood that important things require a certain devotion, a certain type of mind and effort, and well, things like that. And I was open all this time to do what was necessary in order for me to break those conditionings, those limitations, what would block my awareness and my power. And all that went always into what I like to emphasize and stress, the work of cleaning oneself, which is the most important. And it takes a lot of forms. It's like, on one hand, yes, you clean the body, you constantly clean the body, but you have to clean the mind and the entire complex here, mind, body, spirit. And what does this mean? You actually always have to see what's inside, and to be able to start controlling what's inside, and see all those loops, all those things that run inside you, and question all those definitions, all those things that says, oh, I'm this, I'm that, or if I don't have this, I'm not that, or I can't do this because I don't have that. Or you have to start questioning all these things. It's not something that it's like this and ends tomorrow after I've done the process, I won't have to eat. No, it's not about that. I know that some people make it about that, and I know that people have chosen to stay at a certain level because they want to prove that this can be done. And yes, it can be done, but also means that if you want to stay at the reality where you do just that, you don't understand the bigger picture, and you don't allow yourself to transform and become so much more, and have access to so much more energy and awareness and power, just because you want to prove some people that that's possible. I've already done that, but I was not interested in staying there, because naturally as we progress and as we transform and we allow ourselves to be transformed, as we continuously do the work of cleaning oneself and clear all the garbage, the mental, emotional, the sexual garbage, the physical garbage, constantly repeating. At some point, when enough work it's being done, and it's impossible not to see certain things inside you that they're not the same, that they work differently. And then you see, oh, it wasn't about that. It was about actually being able to be at this point where I can see where I am, what I am, and what I can do, and actually what this reality is. Well, this higher reality that is taking form, shape, is about. And that's what's, generally speaking, that's what's been about and is about this journey that I am sharing with you here. Well, certain things that can be shared, because I cannot share certain things with you, because things are the way they are and people still have a certain mind. And so it's always a matter of safety here. It's important. Safety is always important. So I don't do this just because I want to prove the world that I don't eat. I don't do that. I mean, I didn't do that to I don't know, to prove that. If I want to prove something, I want to prove a much bigger thing. But I know that most people are not there yet, and that's what for me is not just frustrating, it's disappointing. But because I understand that has been the level of whatever energy, that's where things have been, most people have been, everyone has a journey to make, everyone has to go to certain things, certain realizations have to crystallize. Also, well, as I said, it's a matter of codes. So when one holds more light, clarity, it's not fun, it's not easy. And it's a matter of like persistence, and have to be persistent and repeat to anchor for those that are not there yet. That's one of the challenges, and it's not an easy thing. So yeah, that's what's been about this thing with eating or not eating. No, it's not about that. This is about creating space, but more than anything, it's about, as I said, it's about breaking a box that things are only this. And it was a big box to break, when not just at an intellectual level, but at an experiential level, where you embody that. And with practice, after that, you practice and you practice and you practice. After that, it sees like, oh, so it's not true. It's like, so there's more, and you allow yourself to see the more that it's there, and how that translates to, into well, other things, and a different type of awareness. So yeah, that's what's this been about. And at the present time, for me, this with the eating or not eating, it follows, as I said, because right now these are not easy times, and I've been saying that for at least, I think, 1 or 2 years now. It's like more than 2 years now. I don't force the dry mode or whatever, because I cannot do longer periods as I used to when the energy was denser, when it was a different type of reality. But by being dry in on longer periods of time, before this changes started to happen, actually was a much more pleasant, easier experience. Now, because there is this like separation, this intense separation between the old and the old reality and the higher reality, and what that means in itself, it takes more energy, and it takes so much like so much energy to process, because you have to release what you have been, and this in itself takes energy. So as I said, a system, in order to exist, you need energy. So you have to help yourself. You have to help yourself to have moments when you have to access darker things that otherwise you wouldn't like. Sometimes you need to lower your frequency, but you need energy to reach painful, traumatic events, to clear them out. And sometimes it doesn't work that you clear everything at once. You need more times. You need sometimes years for the same issue, until that thing has been completely released out of your system. And time, which I explained, time is energy accretion, is that thing that allows us to, like, okay, we get a bit more energy, but also when we clean, we create more space. We have more space, and we integrate that energy, and that allows for a higher awareness, and then you know where and what to do, and where you have to direct your focus in order to break certain blockages that have blocked your power and awareness. So it's a continual process. Obviously, it is on a much more like higher, advanced level now, and it's at the level where, I don't know, before, even a year ago, I would say, it's like I feel like I'm I am like hitting a wall, like I'm running against a wall with eating. Before years, in the beginning, I was explaining all the symptoms, the taste, the whatever, disappearing, feeling like sand, all sorts of weird stuff. Now the actual experience in itself, I was like, there are very few things that give me the same pleasure as, I don't know, as it used to, even like, I don't know, a few years ago. And when I would go to a nice place, I go, a nice restaurant or something like that, which I do this also for my mental health, because I like design. Well, I'm an architect, so design is something that feeds me. So as I said, we never lose that thing where we have to feed ourselves with something. But the actual experience, like seeing people eating and drinking and whatever, feels empty now. Not because it's a bad thing or I'm judging those people that because they're eating and whatever, you're bad. No, it's because what once was there, it's not anymore. And that thing simply doesn't exist for me. And it's sad and it's limited, and it's like, oh shit, there's nothing left here, and what am I going to do to have fun now? So very, very few things that may seem like, wow, this is something that gives me the same pleasure or the same fulfillment. And in the sense, it's like it has dissolved a lot of that. And it's like, you remember, like you had this, look at this toy that was one of your favorite toys, and you play with it, and you had all this, I don't know, imagining playing roles and saying things or whatever, and all of a sudden it feels like a dream. You know, that was so much fun, but now it's not. And it's not just, but it's very small. And you look at it like it lost completely the entire meaning, and it's just like, how was that the thing? So that's kind of what it is right now for me. And food is something still like a modulator when I'm supposed to come in contact with certain people, with certain events that are not a match to where I am most of the time. And when I'm asked to, like, okay, do this, say that. So yeah, that's what it is for me right now. And it's definitely not the same. In regards to physical changes, I was telling you last year was a crazy moment because of the acceleration and the things that still needed to be cleared out of my system. Well, it's been a lot of pain there. But also the system has been strangled, so certain things couldn't be allowed to be completely released. And throughout from the end of last year, beginning of this year, I was telling you there have been many important milestones, highlights, important moments. I was telling you about one that I called Returning of the Core. That was like in the first update of the year, or this year. And after that, there was like a series of like upgrades and changes and things that need to be done like now, which translate in all sorts of things in my life, not just internally, but what I was supposed to do in those areas, released certain limitations and blockages inside myself as well. And I talk about that as well in the update, the second update, I think the end of August or something like that, or beginning of September, I don't know exactly anymore. Anyway, in the second update, now so much has changed, and it's again another level, another reality, and things feel so much more relaxed, although still changes have continued and things happen in the background and in my life, obviously. But internally, and how that was felt inside of me, it's very, very different. It's very, very quiet now. It's not like it was last year when I felt like this, like somebody was like splitting me inside. That's how it felt like about this time. It's just, and also I couldn't sleep. That the not sleeping started last year because of the acceleration. And I was telling you that my nervous system is very sensitive. That's how I'm built. Well, if I wouldn't be built like this, then I wouldn't be able to understand, be aware of certain things. So it comes with advantages and disadvantages. So since last year I was trying to fix the sleeping problem, and I was taking magnesium, B6. That was the thing that worked last year, over the winter months into the spring, and then again the energy, the acceleration, the accretion started to like feel like it's and at its highest moment, which is in the summer, July, something like that, August, at its highest. And then, as I said, it's like then we go again into less, but the accretion doesn't stop right now. And then again, it's a different level than what it was last year this time. And now the only thing that helps me to sleep is melatonin, the thing that I actually said that I was starting to take. I told you in the second update, and basically that's what got me throughout this month and didn't make me a complete zombie. So that's how I sleep at night right now. In the summer months, doesn't really, I mean, I don't get as much sleep as probably some people would do if they would take this. As I said, I don't overdose. I don't know, at times I take maybe a bit more, but on that I don't overdose, so it doesn't feel like, oh, after that I'm groggy or whatever, no. And I really expected, like last year, that okay, we're moving now into the winter months, which is where the accretion at its lowest, so maybe I could get a bit more sleep and more, I feel like, I want to be out of here for longer. But that doesn't really happen. It's like, it's still better than it was 2 or 3 months ago, but it's not the same. It's like, and honestly, I don't know how it's going to be next year when we hit another height, as like another cycle of accretion, as in like at its height. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting, how this will transition, and how this will, because I need to somehow survive, you know what I mean? Anyway, so this is what helps. This is what helped me. The other thing that helped me with recovering from the loss of sleep and rest and things like that, which put a lot of pressure on my kidneys and adrenals, and obviously on my liver, but that was before that, with all the whatever things that have happened in my life until, well, now, and the things that I've been clearing all these years. So I started to incorporate in the spring barley grass powder, and doesn't like make it as juice, well, drink it with water, and also wheatgrass. So this is something that I've integrated into my routine, and it has helped immensely and has tremendous benefits. I made a video about the things that I am doing and whatever, taking certain supplements and things like that, things that I promised the year before that. It was made this year in the summer, so you can find a lot more information about this there. Yeah, so this is what has helped me to deal with this. But because of, as I said, the acceleration, the changes, the clearings, the constant clearings and updates and upgrades, this shift, it was another thing that I've noticed for a few years now. It's not just now, but now has become something so evident and something so, like, it's prominent, and it's like you can't really, I mean, it's part of this higher reality, that it's like you can't deny it anymore. Something so can be painful if you don't understand how this world works. So in this higher reality, we cannot hold fear or anger toward like somebody or something as we did before, and this has to do with this duality system that we were brought up here, the older reality, with the good and bad system, which, I mean, this is how it worked. It wasn't a bad thing, but this is how things have worked until now. However, moving into this higher reality implies that, well, there's a different mind. And there's only very few things that can still, make me mad. This has to do with justice, or justice and justice, despair, which I've worked a lot on it for a very long time. But there's a few things that, well, in the personal experience, and it has nothing to do necessarily with me generating that, but it's like it's like I'm forced to go beyond it by constantly seeing certain things that are like, this is hopeless. So it's like to find a way to completely let it go. And when I do get mad, which happens in a situation like, well, things like, as I said, about despair, justice and injustice, I'm not going to go into, it's a personal thing. You get headaches, and like bad headaches, and you feel like whatever you're saying and whatever, it's like you're not doing it to the other person, but you're doing it to yourself. And it's like, but I don't want to do that to myself. And it's like, how am I going to get this through to this person to make it understand this and that and whatever. And it's like, no, because it's destabilizing. So I experienced one of these things not a long time ago. And I was like, no, this cannot happen ever again, because this completely destabilizes me, and I'm going to need a few days to recover, because the pain is like inside is so big that it's like, no. Because of how much I've cleared and how much like I've become so transparent that there's no barrier and there's no buffer, there's no of things that like was before to just, I don't know, take a hit and like, but now is that thing where you experience that when you hurt someone, you hurt yourself. Not because I want to hurt someone or I hurt someone. It's like, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like, even when you're trying to make somebody understand that they don't understand, then you're getting aggravated. There's moments like that can happen. And it's just, it's on you. You pay the price. Like, and you realize that this is, but how am I supposed to go on in a reality where this still happens and people still don't see certain things? And yeah, you're forced to just find a way, to literally find a new way to dissolve whatever, or that filter or that thing that it might not be yours necessarily directly from you, comes from you, but it's like something that it's in front, it's an obstacle on your path, and you have to just like deal with it, like go over it, push it away, or I don't know, move it out of the way, or dissolve it, or I don't know, you have to find something somehow to move past that. So that's what I've been working as well. Well, for a long time I've been going beyond obstacles, things that I don't even talk about here. I don't like to complain. I just want to just get things done and move forward. So that's something that it signals a big change internally, physically, that the biology has changed, has adjusted to a different state that cannot really maintain the old reality mind, or like trying to function, trying to process a certain situation with the old mind when your biology says, I want this, like this is what I am now. So that's a big threshold, a big signal that things have changed. Somebody asked me about the period. I think it was a man who asked me about that, and I know that until now, as a society, we didn't talk about this. Although now, yes, I'm sure there's more people and sources that educate people in general about this. But still, I feel like men, or those that inhabit male bodies, have less information and understanding of what it is to actually to go through this. The long story short, period is not something natural. It's a torture that women go through most of their lives, well, until now, because even this is going to change the lifespan. But no, it's not natural, and it's a way to actually keep certain things locked in and certain blockages and debilitate certain, well, obviously a certain group from accessing certain powers and certain things. So it's not easy. But what I want to say with this is that now I'm at a level where it doesn't affect me as it used to. For a very long time in my life, I survived going through this, I mean, and having to work to maintain clarity, taking aspirin, and then as my diet and as my life path, whatever, took me to different things, and I started to, well, incorporate those things. Things got better, but then again also got worse for a while, as well as I was going through certain challenges on the invisible side of things. But now, because of so much clearing, and the energy is different, it's a different level of energy now, it's a different reality. I was trying to explain you, I think last year or something like that, or more than a year ago, that these changes happen vertically, because they go at it's based on the energetic centers, which people understand as chakras, but there's more than just 7. Anyways, that's also something that's limited, it's a limited understanding, but I'm gonna leave it there for now. So these things have moved really beyond the lower area, but lately, or the last time, it felt actually around my head, a huge headaches, and like instead of feeling the discomfort in the in the lower area, I would feel it in my head, which was not necessarily something that I would experience, but like somebody was trying to just like break my skull. No, I didn't feel that debilitated, like, I mean, as I said, in the lower parts, and feeling like somebody's just like putting knives inside your body and does this to you. But instead of doing that, the lower part, it does this in your head. Yeah, things have moved progressively. It's like they move towards, well, the higher levels, and at some point I'm sure they will leave completely. Well, there's things to experience ahead, changes, but I don't want to talk about that right now. So yeah, that would be something that be part of physical change, what was important, and well, is relevant for this time. The other thing would be that I feel stronger, like physically, but also mentally, because I've been through so many changes that until now things didn't feel like have been solid for me. Like, and now we're going to that part where I'm going to explain why it feels like this period. I want to call it foundation. I remember it was like with autumn, and I was like rearranging like taking the summer shoes out and putting in the autumn, winter, whatever, shoes, boots, things like that. And as I was doing that, I was just, there was this thought in my head where it felt like things that I was explaining you in the first update, giving you the example with the returning of the core and telling you about the deficit, that didn't matter what I did in my life, I always felt this deficit, and then it doesn't matter what I did and how much I tried to compensate, there was always like, no, we're not on negative, we're not on the positive level. I mean, negative is like plus or negative, like levels. I was like, and it felt, as I was doing that, like, oh, so there is this energy now that I'm going to enjoy I know it sounds weird, like shoes, like women. No, it's I was just thinking, it's like, oh, so now all the other energies, like I can use it for some it was finally available for me to like more energy to do other things that wouldn't necessarily take all this energy before, as in like would not lock in all the energy. The things that I have done until now previously have locked basically most of the energy, and I feel like it's not enough. I have to somehow compensate with this, with I don't know, somehow to get this done and whatever. So that's how I've done for most of my life. I had to do things. But that's kind of like a paradox, because I always had a lot of energy. So that's kind of weird, because I had a lot of energy to spend on things, but it didn't matter what I did, because it's like I was like, the trainer was already long gone and I was trying to catch the train. So that took a lot of energy for me to just catch that stupid train. Didn't matter what I did. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that I actually didn't get to do great things or have great experiences, but like the challenges, the things that happened, those situations, that's how it felt for me, most of these things, and somehow I had to compensate for that deficit. So of course I learned a lot from it. It was meant to be that way. And it made me obviously stronger, more resilient, and in many ways, and some people would say that I'm like steel, and I'm tough, and when I have to, and I am. But now it feels different. It feels like the foundation has been laid out, and it's like it's there, it's solid, and this new, and until now I felt transparent, and like I couldn't really, I felt like whatever I did, it didn't feel like I'm building. I just like did all these things and this transformation and this and that and all, done a lot of things in my life, and it felt like, what's the point? That's why it's pointless. And all of a sudden I felt the solidity of the foundation. Like all of a sudden, what until now hasn't been available, it's like, no, here, now it's the base, it's solid, the foundation is here. And it's like, oh, okay. And it felt nice. But I know that this foundation, it's about basing myself and creating on the truth that is beyond this reality. And it's something that I've always wanted to understand and work with, but it's like I was never allowed to lay whatever I would build in my life, whatever I am, on a wrong foundation, on the old reality mindset, on the old whatever ways. So it's like, no, that's not yours, that's not your home, that's not the place for you. No, now here, this is the foundation. There you are. Here, that's it right now. So built on this. So that's how it feels like now, and it still feels like airy and not really solid, but then again it is. I know it sounds weird, but that's kind of what it is like right now. And inside I feel stronger, and although for a very long time I felt like I am so like not solid. For a very long time I felt non-solid, and just like things passing through me and going in all direction. I'm like, what's going on? Why? Well, I know why all of this thing now, but it's like, yeah, and I had to just let it be. I had to be transparent. I had to be non-solid, so those things can happen and go through me, and so I can be rebuilt with a different awareness, with a different foundation, and which is built upon the real reality, or the truth. Not because I was building on lies, but it was like I explained to you, the truth is something beyond this reality. It's the eternal truth. So it's a different type of foundation. It's like I wasn't allowed to build on illusions. That's the best I can describe. Only on truth. Adding to what I said earlier about foundation and what that actually meant and translated to me as experience, this process of withdrawal all this time, all these years, if I was somehow in a process of somehow isolation, not that I live completely isolated all these years, but the way my life has been, everything that I've done, work and life and other things, have been in a manner that I was somehow removed from how my life had been for a very long time before that. And in being in this space and doing life this way has made me remove a lot of the, as I said earlier, the delusions, and shed those untruths about life. Not because I was about lies and things like this, but I told you a lot of these things are considered untruth, and was the actual purpose in the end was to just dissolve time and space, to correct perception and move into the now. A lot of people talk about the now. Oh, there's only now, but they don't really experience the now. We have this, I don't know, particular moment where we feel in the now, when we're happy about something, I don't know, being in love or something, I don't know, beautiful, that transfigure, that like changes our perception of reality for a short time, for a short period of time. But this is about living constantly there. So all this process, what has happened for me and continues to do so, is about, as I said, shedding this illusions and this limitation, and basically dissolving time. And time is energy accretion, like I always want to like explain and emphasize. But more than that, time was an experience. I mean, the only time there is now, and that is beyond. That's the paradox. The time that I'm talking about is beyond time and space, and it's the realm of life eternal, the immortality, because there's no death, what people understand as death. So this also is part of what's coming and what's changing. So that's one of the underlying important things that is part of my journey as well. There was this particular morning in late October. I went for my morning walks, and it was after a rainy night, and the park was flooded, and it was basically no one there, and no cars were allowed. There was nothing, and I was just enjoying. Actually, I enjoy moments like this because I really feel free. It's not that I don't enjoy the company of people, I do, but I also enjoy like complete aloneness when magic happened. And this was a moment like that, and I want to explain why it was magical. It's like in moments like this, nature is opening itself up to what it actually is. Most people are not really, because people say, oh, I'm going in nature to just like commune with nature, but they don't really allow nature to show them what nature, or whatever, what's understood as nature, this construct, because we are also construct with trees and bushes and whatever, flowers, and they're construct like us. So they perform certain tasks, certain whatever, and they have certain characteristics and things like that, like us. And they themselves cannot show their magic and their power when people treat them with like, I mean, they're busy in their own heads and like they're focused on this reality of what has been like that. That's the only thing that's true. So nature behaves okay, they don't take us, they take us for granted, and they're kind of like invisible. They're on invisible mode. And it's just like it clicked. It reminded me of like how I felt for most of my life, where I had to like basically dim myself down, so I make other people comfortable around me. Couldn't show my power, my magic, so I can make them comfortable, and not and show myself fully only, well, when I'm by myself or around only a very few people. And that's what that day nature did with me. Is like they finally commune with somebody that was on the same page, and I felt like this expansion, because that's how it feels like when I'm in that space of the truth that's beyond this like duality and limitation. There's this natural expansion of things, and like things like dissolve. There's like a dissolution of solidity of this reality, and a much more expanded version of reality takes place and happens inside you and around you. And that's how it felt that day, that morning. And I felt like I was walking on air. That's how it felt. And it's just like the space all of a sudden became fluid but full. It's like I was inside of water. It's like it's just very interesting. But like I said, it was like the reality was not anymore this like solid, but it was solid, but like not the solidity and limitation of the reality that most people experience. And I was just walking in this expanded version of reality that exists all the time, but it's not accessed by people, or most people, because the main focus is on what they see, and what this reality or what the old reality says, that's it, that's what life is. And as you spend time only in this one, you cannot see what's beyond it. So nature, why I say it's like to commune with nature is good for your health and for your mental health and whatever, for the spirit, is because they are not conditioned by this limited reality. They have their own frequency, and they can go from one frequency to the next very, very quickly, depending on like how you actually perceive things. So you can see them in different forms, as others can see us in different forms, however they can, whatever shift from one frequency to the next. So that what happened that morning. Is like it showed me like how I felt for most of my life, when I have to dim myself down and make myself small to make other people comfortable and not afraid of me and how I am and what I am. And I was like, it was nice to be with your kin, so to speak. It was just like, but not just this, because people think, oh, when we're together, it's like already when you're at that level, there's a different type of interaction, and that's what I miss, because there's not a lot of that. Because people think that when you meet your kin, you talk about chakras and whatever. Yeah, maybe in the beginning. I mean, if you're just at the beginning of the journey where you start to learn about this or that, whatever. But beyond that, there's just different things. It's just a different way to do life and have a different mind about it and experience life in a different way. And this is not a metaphorical speaking. It's a reality that has to be experienced, but it can be experienced only when one releases the old reality, releases the old mind. This is a process. That's why I'm insisting so much on cleaning oneself, because without that, that's not possible. So that's like the shortcut. If you do that, and if you go inside and check all the dark corners and take them and clean them and whatever, work on them constantly, you will see a much faster progress than otherwise. Because yes, there is a default mode as things evolve and whatever, but if you want to do it in a conscious way and shorten the distance, you have to be proactive and you have to do some work. Doesn't work otherwise. Sorry. I would like to conclude this video with two things. One of these is the fact that, well, I don't know if it's correct or incorrect to say that I reached this level beyond good and bad, because this has been a progressive, like a progression, a process in itself, but it feels like it has crystallized. It's like, that's why I could say another level in my awareness, not as something that I have now and then certain experiences, because I'm constantly moved in and out of this time and space, but as I said, never returning to the same point. And always there's more cleaning in between, so therefore there's always shifts and things adjust and change all the time. But now it's this thing where I've cleared so much, so I was able to release and at the same time help crystallize this new level, which is beyond good and bad, beyond this duality, which makes it so hard to just like occupy this space and express yourself in this reality and always like put things in certain boxes, so which is this and which is that and whatever, good, bad. When do I use this and when do I use that? There's nothing wrong with that, but moving to the next level is about releasing this mechanism, because what's beyond it, it's much more expansive, and there's no need to put energy into any of those, I say, what you say, choice. Oh, this is a good choice, this is a bad choice, this is whatever. So you have to completely drop it to move to the next level. And then you see, oh, there's more possibility, I can do it this way, but I don't have to put energy in that good, bad thing, because there's a completely different way and a different meaning for life, for everything that I would do. If people think about, yeah, but we still have work, money, things like that. Yes, but this is changing too already. It's something that I will talk about more in the future. However, this new level of awareness that has crystallized, like a solidity, is like, again, something new has been added and it's there, has connected me to something that I was talking about in I think in previous videos, or in something over the summer about sexuality. I think that for me is not really comfortable to talk about, because I know where things are in general still for most people, and the understanding surrounding this area. But I want to tell you, as from a technical point of view, what has changed in my perception, and is like what I see out there in general, people also in myself, as I've been going through all these changes and clearings and things like that, and also certain things that I don't talk about because there's nothing wrong with that, but like people wouldn't accept those things for now. Don't imagine something like weird and stupid. I'm talking about like really clearing the path here. In creating so much space, before that I never was like, I could always feel in people their intentions. I can feel whatever they are producing. When I mean, it's so weird to say produce, but like that's what we produce, certain chemicals, certain things when we emit a certain thought or a certain feeling about something. And science has shown certain some of this, has explained some of this already. But for me, it's like, it's not because chemically this happens. Like I have access to that information when that thing happens, or I can feel it, smell it in the field. And until now, I really wonder like why most people cannot go beyond this level and cannot see that love. There's so much more beyond this, what I understood as sexuality and things like that. Why they cannot, and they're trying to just like get that love only through here. But then again, this is also limited because their expectation and what they perceive as love is limited. So this already blocks the whole. And it feels like it's pointless, because at some point you're just going to lose that initial spark and quantum, and then it's like, all right, it's time to move on to the next victim, so to speak. So we can get the same I don't know, whatever experience. This has to do with the fact that until now, this level is part of the unconscious, the thing that could not be, haven't been in at the forefront, is like in the space of here, is like constantly to be here in your awareness. It's part of what I was telling you, that was forming. We're moving from the unconscious to the more of the unconscious become conscious. The conscious part is taking over what has been hidden. So these things come to the forefront. And over these past years, I was, as I said, I was starting to see certain things in the field of people, and it was certain grotesque and horrible things, also good things as well. But in this area, there's been so much garbage. That's how it is. That's how it's been. And now, because these things are dissolving, this level cannot exist anymore hidden, or something that you cannot grasp it or touch it, or it's somewhere outside of your control. It's here. If you want to take charge of it, it's here, or at least for me it is. And then you cannot go back into the unconscious mind or behavior, think that I'm going to go around here, I'm going to hide here, whatever. You can't do that. Right now, the energy has moved a lot of that's why it comes to the forefront, how the garbage is coming to the surface. It's because of the things that didn't have energy to be here, aware, at the forefront, is like in your focus. Now they are, and it's kind of like, what's that? But at the same time, it's great because the energy allows you to clear that and completely dissolve and erase that and move beyond that and find new ways of expression, in this case of love and other things, and a meaning, a different kind of meaning for everything, for life, for love. So that's very interesting. It's at the same time, I said, it's kind of like scary, or it used to be, because now it's less for me, but it's like it's not hidden, and it's not like something that you do not have access. The wall doesn't exist anymore. It is not behind the wall and you cannot grasp that level. No, it's here. If you want to take charge of it, you can change it. It's something, okay, I can clear this, or I can change whatever it is in that mechanism and things like that. So it has become a physical thing that you can actually have access to. So that's what I would say is a big thing. Having lived and experiencing this new level of awareness that has formed inside of me. Yeah, there's many other things, but I've already talked more than I wanted. I hope this was interesting. This is the end of a very interesting year. It was a good year, regardless. It's like, I know it was complicated, and maybe a lot of people still go through a lot of things. For me personally, it was a good year. And I'm excited to see how the next accretion cycle will look like, and what kind of challenges and I don't know, whatever things I need to do and go through. Yeah, so, but I'm excited. I'm excited about certain things. It's just, I know there's still work to do, and I mean, I'm used to it with doing the work. I'm used to it with the long journey. That's something that for me is like, it's clear from the very beginning. It's not for most people, but for me, it's something that I know is a process. It takes time. In time, certain things will become evident, self-evident, crystallize, and then like, okay, so this couldn't be here until now, but I had to go through this until I get there, so I can get that. So yeah, anyways, yeah, so wishing everyone a happy new year, and see you next year in the next accretion cycle. Ciao. Life from now on is about other things and other type of expression, and it's not about just suffering